Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the final practice session for Tier 3 and some Tier 4 drivers. We are here in Spa in Belgium for the final practice round, ready for the Tier 3 showdown that we have tomorrow evening. Joining me in the commentary box as a special guest is Mr. MRC himself. It is none other than the McLaren maestro, that is Martin Hills.
Good evening, mate. How are you doing?
Very well, thanks. Thanks for joining us. Looking forward to this one.
I'm currently very confused because I seem to be in a car.
You are a little bit. You are.
How has that happened? I didn't select to be in a car.
Oh well, there we are. Retired from that session. Man of many
really
talents.
bizarre.
Sounds like you can multitask.
Well, I'm not quite sure how that's happened because I'm not on the list. So does that mean somebody else is out who's supposed to be in?
I think there was one spare. I think so. Luckily,
Okay.
I don't think there's anybody taken over.
Okay, well I've retired anyway.
But no, I think decided last minute we're going to do this practice session and get involved. We've got a lot of the Tier 4 drivers, or going to be Tier 4 drivers, joining us this evening. So just nice to see them on track, give them a bit of coverage as well, and also just get the showdown, get as the championship contenders finalise their setups and strategies for tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's good to see lots of new names. It's going to be a little confusing at first to get your head around exactly who's who, because obviously it's the first time I've been in comms for quite a long time, and I've spent the last, I don't know, what is it, like 2 or 3 years of my life recruiting 20 new people for for Tier 4, along with a lot of help from Scott, it's got to be said. So yeah, there's lots of new names in this driver list that we've got here, but yeah, there's a mix of Tier 3 and Tier 4 in here, isn't there?
There is. I think it's going to be interesting because it'll just give us a bit of an eye opener for next season as well. And this could. I mean, I know we're not battling here next season, but it's going to be interesting to see how they all fare, and it could give us a good heads up. And as you rightly say, yourself and Scott worked tirelessly, I must admit, to bring us what we have as rapidly growing league, and kudos to both of you for the job that you do.
Well, funnily enough, it's still ongoing. I mean, basically, as I've just dropped in the chat on the Discord, we will reveal tonight who's going up, who's going down, who's coming in, and who's going to be in what tiers for the new season, which is something which we weren't planning on doing, but it just so happens that I've spent the whole day today working on it and literally finalised it about 10 minutes before the session started. So I thought, why the hell not?
Exactly. And, it's not only, I know we've got quite a lot, as Connor's left the session already. I'm not sure why he's left the session, to be honest. But, yeah, it's a good time to do it. We've got a lot of the drivers there now. They like to watch the stream in the background as well while they're practicing, so it'll give them a bit of excitement as well. And also, with there's been a free choice of car tonight, that we'll see if they may have picked well.
Well, I think those orange ones go quite well, don't they?
They usually do.
Yeah. Well,
I noticed Red Car tonight. He's in a Haas tonight, obviously the McLaren man.
Yeah, so this makes me. This is why I'm doubly confused as to how I've managed to end up in a car, because he should be in the car that I've just retired out of. I'm so confused.
Yeah.
It's probably an age thing. Don't worry.
Quite a lot of cars on track already. There's only CBG in the pits, fanning in the pits as Kaiser Soze, we're going to say, goes round in turn 13. He's on the medium compound tyres, just lost the back end. First lap's coming through, Gibbon in the Ferrari, pops off 149, and back Mizo, he's in the Mercedes, 146.5 on those mediums. That's a good lap time, very good lap time.
Yeah, I mean, especially sort of with track evolution, I think, that's what you'd expect to see at the start of a session. That will probably, I mean, you could quite easily expect those times to evolve pretty significantly in the next little while.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen some really good lap times over the last couple of sessions, haven't we? And the race pace as well. As Gaming Dad, he's gone into 146.0 in the other Mercedes.
Yeah, I think things will ramp up pretty quickly as people get a feel for the track. And I mean, obviously, everyone's well, not everyone, but there's going to be some more harder tyre runners to start off with, and they'll obviously shift onto the soft as we go along. And that combined with the track evolution will probably see people's times reducing dramatically in not too much time at all, I would think.
Yeah, right. So actually, just looking at the tyres now, we've got actually you're right there, a complete mix. We've got Chelsea is on the soft tyres. Red Car's obviously sitting in the pits at the moment. The rest are on medium and hard compounds as well. Ocean Tame, he's the first one across the line on the hards. He's on a 149.0. So, again, you're right there. You never know. We don't know what fuel everybody's running at the moment. So, see how he gets on in his run.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, I mean, there's some people who we're still getting a feel for, and I've been trying to explain this gradually, sort of through the Discord over the last week or so, which is obviously when people are new to the league and we don't know so much about them. Obviously, we go through a bit of a learning process, so we attribute people to certain tiers as reserves when they first come in, but until we've seen them really sort of on track in a more competitive environment, it's really, really hard to judge exactly where those people are supposed to be in the longer term. So even if you've been assigned a tier as a reserve, because obviously we've now got within the Discord, your name can now actually reflect what tier you're in as a reserve, or multiple tiers, if multiple tiers in fact are what you're suited to. Those things will evolve. As we learn about you, those things can change.
Yeah, rightly so, you're right. And I think one of the practice sessions the other day, there were one or two of the new drivers taking part in that as well, who had never driven in anything other than potentially one or two of the online lobbies that you get on the game. And that was the first time they'd driven in the league in any kind of session, so that was quite interesting. And to be fair, I can't remember the person who it was exactly, but I know I battled with them myself, and they held themselves up really quite well. Ocean Tame's lost it through the top of Radion. Oh, that's a big hit. Big hit. Glad damage is off, because that would definitely be a DNF.
So yeah, no, there's certain people who we're seeing on track now who are definitely their positions are evolving. Let's say so. For example, Gaming Demidad, who's at the top of this chart right now. Originally, we had him slated as being a tier 3 reserve, and it's become pretty clear pretty quickly that he's probably too quick for tier 3, so he may well in the longer term be a tier 2 driver.
Yeah, I think he reserved for tier 1 as well. He's had a few runs for the top tier as well.
He did. In fact, he was in last night, wasn't he? I think
he was. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think that session went quite the way he might have wanted it to. But he's certainly quicker than his initial impressions kind of suggested. So obviously, some of the people that are who are in MRC now have come in as a result of time trials. Not a lot of them, but quite a few people have submitted time trials to enter, and then once we see them on track in sessions, then obviously we can kind of tweak our understanding. And also other people have come in by taking part in practice sessions like this one, and those people probably we've got a better idea of where they stand, but even those people will probably sort of reattribute them within the league in terms of different tiers as they start to get more used to our settings, and they adapt to things like not having a line, for example, in the top 3 tiers. Some of the people who've come in initially as tier 4 drivers are already kind of bumping on the door of tier 2 pace, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they are. You're right, and everything you hit the nail on the head with everything there, and it is clear once you get people in that environment, it's not just. I think when it comes down to just rubbing around time trial or career modes that people, when we play the games, when you get into that competitive environment, it really brings out a different side to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a different kind of motivation, isn't there? I suppose.
Yeah,
but also,
definitely.
you think about things in a slightly different way as well. I mean, I think one of the things that people learn quite quickly once they start racing in a league is that you start to realise that actually outright pace isn't necessarily what you want to be aiming for. It's consistency and avoiding incidents and getting to the finish, really. And some people come in with flaming hot pace, but really struggle to convert that to finishing. And there's I'm not going to name any names, but there's obviously people that we know within the league who've been here for some time, who've really been through that journey and have started off, absolutely blitzing it when it comes to qualifying pace, and then you see them in a wall some way part way around causing a safety car for race after race after race, and then eventually they learn that actually they need to change their approach, and then suddenly those people become super competitive because they've got the pace and they learn how to deploy it as well.
Yeah, you're right. They are. Maybe it's just where they learn. One thing I've learned personally, and I can say I know a lot of drivers are doing the same thing as you say, not just learning from time trial setups, from qualifying setups, but race setups as well, and just that patience and then the understanding of not just how the car feels, but how tyres work, when to push a car, when to back off on a car. And I think when you're in this competitive environment, and especially when there's it's okay. I said yes. I won round 3 on my career mode, and I had to fight off a charging Red Bull of Max Verstappen. When I was fighting against a Red Bull of X person in a Tier 2 race. Well, I know Red Bull. Let's say a Monster. I'll call it Monster because I've had a few battles with him this season. So. Then it's a different environment as well, and then you understand, and then that side comes out of you, and you learn so much more as well.
Yeah, and also I think one of the things that there's two problems with offline practice that are quite easily fixable. The first one is people practice in time trial, and I can't sort of emphasize enough how little use that can be really in terms of setting yourself up for a race, because the setups are different, the tyres are different, the track is different, everything is as optimal as it can possibly be, and the car does not behave in time trial like it does in an actual race.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, you go from those tyres into a set of hard compound tyres on a green track, and the setup that you thought was absolutely superb, it just doesn't work at all.
Or even a set of soft tyres. I mean, the difference between a set of soft tyres in a TT and a set of soft tyres in a qualifying session, they're pretty different. I mean, obviously the soft tyre in a TT sits at its optimal temperature at all times and never changes. So it's literally like you're going round on the perfect set of tyres at all times, and that barely ever happens in an actual real environment. So, but TT does have its uses. It's very useful for learning setups and sort of comparing setups against one another. So, it's a good way of drilling down into different options that you've got available to you. But you still need to bring it back to some form of, real race practice. And that can work in career as well. It doesn't necessarily mean that career's no good to you. But there's no flashbacks in a league race.
No, very true, there isn't. No, that's it. Once you're out, and you've unfortunately faced the consequences of that, whether it's drop points, and the consequences for the drivers as well, whether one unfortunately may get collected in that, or one cause a safety car and can throw somebody's strategy wide open.
Indeed. Interestingly, Bakmazo, who's one of our new reserve drivers, has just set the fastest lap up there, and he's taken a pretty hefty chunk out of Ryan.
He really has with that. It's a stonking lap, that, isn't it? That's you're getting up to really good qualifying pace there of what we've seen so far.
Yeah, you've got to wonder whether that's a low fuel run, but he's still going around at a pretty high pace right now as well, so he's not backed out of it.
We'll cut to him and see how he's getting on. He has now backed out now.
He has now.
As we cut to that, he may have had a bit of a slower first sector and then thought better of it. From that, yeah. Ryan's doing, I think, maybe a longer fuel run on those soft tyres. He's just getting his eye in for tomorrow. Obviously, we've got the big title showdown between Redcar Rambo, Fanning, and I think it's BGR as well's in there with a high chance of nipping in there as well and potentially nip the championship away.
It is, yeah. There's still plenty to play for over there. It's got to be said. But would you like me to drop the first big shocker of the evening?
Ooh, I think couldn't say no to that, could we?
Well, so as you know, normally we don't always promote exactly the championship order. The winner of a tier will always get promoted up. That's something which always happens.
Yeah.
However, we then also, as you know, Mark, but not everybody listening to this will, we then quite often will promote the runner-up, and we sometimes have wildcards as well, which are people who we think have shown a huge amount of potential, but maybe haven't actually been able to display it, or have only had limited chances to display it. So it could be someone who's a relatively new member, who's maybe stepped in partway through the season, so their championship standing isn't particularly high, but their actual finishing might be excellent. Or it could be someone like we were just talking about, who's clearly got amazing pace, but is struggling to actually make the most of it. So a wild card is a possibility as well. Now, so here you go. Here's our first shocker of the evening. So as you know, basically, we've got the winner of Tier 3 due to go up to Tier 2.
Yep.
And we're then probably looking at the runner-up going into Tier 2 as well. Now, as you just said, that could be Fanning, Redcar, or BGR.
Yeah, good.
What we've actually decided is all three of those guys are going to Tier 2.
Oh, that's cool.
So all three of the championship contenders from Tier 3, all of whom are super pacey, all of them are being promoted to Tier 2.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. We've seen BGR, I think he's been in Tier 2 once or twice as well and shown it. And Redcar, of course, he's been up in Tier 1 and scored points in Tier 1.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, they all deserve to be in Tier 2. I mean, their pace is, markedly high at all times.
Yeah.
They're all performing very consistently, and it's it's hard to differentiate between them really. So we feel it's only fair that they all end up in a tier that's probably more suited to their pace. I mean, to be honest with you, I expect these guys to be highly competitive in Tier 2. It's not like they'll sneak into the bottom of that tier and kind of fight against being relegated again next season. That is not what's going to happen to these guys. They are all quick.
Yeah, very much so. As I completely agree, and with Alex's bit of comment in there, it's very well deserved, and you're very right. It is very well deserved. I think you hit the nail on the head. They've been very, very consistent this season as well, and they've shown the pace that they've got. So that's fantastic news. Congratulations to the three of them.
Now, also in Tier 2, whilst we're talking about it, there's two other changes as well. Now, we actually have a vacancy in Tier 2. And I'm very pleased to say that Seb Mail, who has been a member of MRC for a long time, but unfortunately had to step away for quite a period of time, is coming back, and he will be a new entry within Tier 2, or a re-entry after the best part of a season away. And I, for one, am going to be very happy to see him back again.
Yeah, definitely. He's a good, solid driver, and I'm sure he'll be pleased and relieved about that as well.
Yeah, it'll be good to have him back on board again. And he's joined with a move down, unfortunately, from Tier 1, which is Womax.
Yes, I think he's struggled a little bit this season, hasn't he, Womax? He's one that's shown potential and good pace, and it's just unfortunately not worked out for him this season.
Yeah, so if you don't know him, his name's Ilian, and I think he's struggled partly with sort of time differences and his work commitments. I think he's one of these people, unfortunately, has quite a big time difference to when we start, and an early start in the morning for work, and I think he's sort of been struggling to find sort of the focus that he would like to have. So he'll be coming in. So mathematically, you can probably tell that means we actually have 5 new drivers in Tier 2. So that's a quarter of the grid changing. Crikey.
Wow, that's gonna. I think that's gonna throw it open a lot more as well next season. I think some people, we all watch other tiers and we say, okay, we know who's quick. We've seen them come in. We've seen them in practice sessions, and you think, okay, I'm in the middle. He's about the same pace if he comes in, so I can battle with them. But now with quarter of the grid change, and I think that throws up so many more variants as well.
It's a massive remix, isn't it? Basically, yeah. I mean, that's. I've got to say, I think it's going to be an incredibly tight tier. It's going to be tough. I think it's going to be much like Tier 1. I think it's going to become a tier where almost anybody could win a race.
It's definitely shaping up to that by the sounds of it. It is, isn't it?
It is. It is. Now, what's interesting is if you kind of do your maths, that means we've got one driver moving down, one coming in, and 3 promotions, which means that that doesn't quite work out mathematically for Tier 1.
I kind of need Gav's supercomputer here, I think.
Yeah, so we'll come back to Tier 1 in a minute, but suffice to say, that means that Tier 1, due to a couple of departures and a demotion, basically needs 4 drivers.
Wow.
So we have 4 spaces in Tier 1, and we will talk about who those are going to be in a few minutes, but one of them is obviously Guy because he's already won the Tier 2 championship. So
he did, and he won it in a few races to go as well. He won it in dramatic fashion.
He did. Now, he's a dead cert, but as we've all seen today, Tier 2 this season has been incredibly competitive. I mean, it's so tight. I mean, the championship the team championship has just demonstrated how well balanced the teams are in that league. But beyond that, the actual results which have been sort of posted by the top half a dozen drivers in that tier, are including yourself, mate, have been phenomenal. So there's very, very little to differentiate the people at the top end of Tier 2. They're all very closely matched. So like I said, we'll come back to that in a minute. But just looking around, that Gaming Demidad is back up at the top there again.
He is a 44.2 on board when he did that lap, and that's some pace. Back Mizo as well, 3/10 back from him. It's I know Ryan was on a heavy fuel run when on those soft tyres. He did pop up that he was doing that. So this is interesting. We're on board with Case Soze again in the McLaren as he goes very wide. So he's on it doing a medium run there. Sure, there's a few laps on board as well with that, just getting his race pace sorted.
Interestingly, because of that name, I actually sat down and rewatched The Usual Suspects the other night.
I was going to say it's not something I've actually seen, so I'm not familiar with that one, I'm afraid.
It's one of the most famous films of all time with one of the biggest twist endings of all time. You've got to watch that. It's amazing.
That's it. It's on my list. It has to go on my list. I did sit today. I had a day off on a Tuesday. It's my one day off a week, and it was today. I did sit this afternoon and look. What am I going to watch this afternoon? And I've got a few films sat there recorded. And then I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Next thing I know, 3 hours had happened, and had passed, and I had no idea what I've just watched. It was just a complete waste of afternoon. I don't even think I've even focused on the TV.
Okay, so
just a complete waste of day. I was actually looking forward. I did say this morning I'm going to watch a film this afternoon. Watch something I've not seen before, and it just didn't happen. I can't believe it.
Your watch hadn't sort of not changed by 3 hours or something. You didn't see any like bright lights or feel any tingling. No scorch marks on the garden or anything.
I'm not sure. I don't know. It was one of those. There was a strange phone box outside there for a little while.
I was just wondering
police box. That was it.
To be honest with you.
Yeah, there was a police box outside in blue with a flashing light on it. So.
Well, if you can sit down, okay, you've probably not been probed by the aliens that took you.
No, we're okay on that one. I can still walk.
Anyway.
Yeah, we'll move on from that one, folks.
Yeah.
That took a turn, didn't it?
It did. Let's think less about the. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So one thing I'd just like to point out, just to give a particular driver a quick shout out, is Mindful Wasp there. That's a good lap from him as a sort of he's a Tier 3 / Tier 4 reserve. He's on the medium tyres and he's got the 5th fastest time on the board.
He has. That is a great lap time. Yeah, very good. I wonder if that was a qualifying run he's done on mediums to test those out because of course we've got the Tier 4 invitational kind of introductory event after the Tier 3 race tomorrow. So once you finish with that, folks, once you've watched the Tier 3 championship be decided, don't go anywhere because we have our Scottish Banshee bringing you the action from the first Tier 4 race that we will see in preparation for the new season. So that's going to be a great watch.
It is. I'm joining him for that as well.
There we go. Even more reason to tune in. More reason.
But and just out of interest, by the way, Mindful Wasp is now taking to the track on a set of softs, so we'll get a true comparison on his lap pace, on his pace now.
We will. We're on board with Carl at the moment, but yeah, we'll cut to that in a moment when we see Mindful Wasp start his flying lap. There's quite a spread at the moment, but obviously we don't know what fuel they're using, and I think they are doing a bit longer runs this evening.
Yeah, and I think there's a few people there who probably haven't, well, certainly I suspect Paulo Costa's not actually completed a fast lap just yet. Fanning doesn't seem to have been out. Didn't he leave the session? He left the session, didn't he? He must have come back again.
Yeah, there's a few people who have done that, unfortunately. Carl goes very wide there. Yeah, he left the session. I think come back, there's a few.
We're into the 143s at the top now.
Wow. That's we're getting there. We're definitely getting there now. This is definitely within 4 minutes of the session. The qualifying runs are open and they're on now. Fresh set of softs, low fuel. We have got the full qualifying session after this, folks, in a 25% race, so don't go anywhere.
And that's Dare Brave at the top there, which is a hell of a name for a driver in a Formula One league, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? The irony is definitely a lot lost on that one.
So just as well he's going quickly, isn't it? Because it could be pretty embarrassing otherwise.
It would be.
So just whilst these guys are all firing themselves up, just to bring in one other bit of news. Tier 3, obviously we have the remaining drivers from Tier 3 who aren't moving up, are obviously still staying in Tier 3. There's no one being demoted from Tier 3, but there are 3 drivers who are moving down from Tier 3 by request, which opens a lot of spaces in Tier 3 for the new season.
Yeah, it will do, yeah.
So that basically means that we have, I think, 7 or 8 new drivers in Tier 3. The only change to what we've published previously is that we now, due to that extra promotion that we're doing, there's an extra space opened up. And that final Tier 3 place is going to a person who a lot of people have seen in practice sessions, which is SFR Energy Dan.
Oh, very good. Oh, brilliant. I know he's been very keen. I've spoken to him, and he's very, very keen to get racing and is enjoying the league so far. So, brilliant news for him. I bet he's over the moon with that.
So he is. He only found out about 20 minutes before the session started. So yeah, he's on board. So that's Daniel McConville. We also have new drivers in that.
Sorry, we're on board with Mindful Wasp trying to follow his fast lap, and he was caught behind a Ferrari for quite a while, and then eventually got through. But I think that's really hampered his lap. It has. It's ruined his fast run on that one. So sorry about that, Martin. Carry on.
That's all right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a practice session, and these things happen. But let's always be mindful of people coming up quickly behind us when we're on track. It's frustrating when it happens to you, so you wouldn't want to be the victim of it. So try to be very aware of your mirrors when you're driving around at a slower pace.
Yeah,
So basically, yeah. So SFR Energy Dan is Daniel McConville. We've also got several other new drivers. I'm not going to go through them right now, but we've got Jam Kaiser Soze, who's on track right now. We've got Bergen. We've got Taylor Dawn, who's come back. He's been away for a while. That's Tate Mandem. We've got Collins Owl. We've got multiple drivers who are coming in. One who's worthy of note there is Avinash Hanuman. Do you remember Avinash?
I do. In my first season and second season, he was very competitive driver. Always up there in the top. Well, to probably say top 5, top 6, definitely, and if not for race wins, very competitive driver.
Absolutely, he was when MRC was a one tier league, a single tier league,
a simple league. There was a simple times, weren't they?
Well, when I started it off, it was all based around the league function that you have within the game, which is, let's not beat around the bush, shit. Pardon my French. Sorry about that. I know that'll upset Mike that I've sworn on the stream, but it's a pile of poop. Anyway, so when we first started off, I literally just put a post on a Facebook group, found a handful of people and started it off very low scale. And Avinash was one of the first people through the door in season 1.
Wow.
And unfortunately, he had horrific connection problems develop with his internet connection.
Yeah, he did.
And if memory serves, he's based somewhere. Is he based in the Middle East? It's somewhere like that. Anyway,
I think, isn't he Indian? I think he's in India. I could be wrong.
Is he? I thought he was somewhere. I thought he was somewhere a little bit closer than that. But nonetheless, he started off with an okay connection, which promptly turned into a potato connection. And he had to leave. Basically, he could barely play himself. I think it was getting that bad.
I do remember some comments from him. Yeah, he wasn't. He was. To be fair, he was really upset, wasn't he, about it? Because he's such a nice guy when you talk to him, and he was really upset that it out of his control, out of his hands.
Yeah, and basically he was supposed to be getting an upgrade to his internet, and it took forever, and it just didn't happen. And in the interim, since he's been gone, which was. I mean, I think he was last seen in season 3, I want to say.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah. It will be season 3.
And he's waited and finally got his internet upgraded, and he rejoined very, very early on when we started advertising for Tier 4 drivers. And he hasn't played the game for all that time, pretty much. So he came in as a Tier 4 driver, and he's very quickly shown through the practice sessions that he's not Tier 4 pace. He's definitely Tier 3 pace, so that's where he is going.
At least it's nice to see him back on the grid. It's nice to see that we've still got, some of the old guard and the original drivers back in with us and wanting to rejoin as well. So, I mean, that's lovely, isn't it? It's great news to see that people still remember the MRC and remember us and want to come back in. Well,
yeah, I like to think we do things right. So hopefully we create quite a nice environment for having some fun, and also for being competitive but fair. That's the whole idea of it. So hopefully that means that we sort of engender a pretty good memory for people who have to sort of pass out and then looking further down the road again to come back. So there we go. So yeah, that's where we stand with Tier 3. We've talked about Tier 2, and in a bit we'll talk about Tier 1.
Yes, we certainly will. So the practice session is over. That's it for the Tier 3 drivers and even the Tier 4 drivers before they take to the track. Sorry, they're with Bahrain, aren't they, tomorrow night? Completely different track and layout for them. Wrong side of the world.
Probably less chance of rain at that one.
Yeah, a little bit. And I think Tier 1 were kicking themselves with that one last night. And I know Tier 3, they're already praying for no rain. They've had their fair share of it in the early part of the season. They really struggled with the weather conditions.
Well, it's sort of reversed, hasn't it? I think I think Tier 3's ended up being the dry one in the last half of the season, and it seems to be the other tiers that are getting all the dampness.
Yeah, they are. We had it in Hungary, didn't we? And then in Tier 2. Tier 1, of course, had that. That was a strange race last night. Dry start, wet in the middle, and dry at the end again. It was they had everything through theirs.
They did. And that Hungary race that we had last week, oh, crikey, that was awful. That was so hard. It was just insane. I mean, I don't think as a league race we've had a wetter track than that one.
Yeah, that was absolutely torrential, wasn't it? You couldn't even see the line. You couldn't see anything. Yeah, I mean,
I know that the game can go to almost monsoon conditions if you're very unlucky. But hang on, it's put me back in the car again.
Has it put you again?
Yes.
I mean, if you can do a lap whilst on the stream with myself, then that shows something, doesn't it? That shows good skill.
Well, it would show exceptional skill, seeing as I'm sat 3 feet away from a wheel with the dog on my lap and the computer next to me. But, so, well, here we go. We're underway for qualifying, and obviously things are going to spice up. We've got some people leaving the session at the moment.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a connection issue. There's some people coming back.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's not the glitch that we've seen in previous sessions. But that may mean with people leaving and coming back, that at the end of the qualifying session there will be a slight delay as their timing screens are slightly out in terms of what we see.
I think both the drivers that I saw leave have both come back already. So not sure what that was about.
Yeah, we'll only be about maybe 30 seconds a minute behind, so that's not too bad.
Yeah. That's a really strange bit of programming that they've done, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah, if you go and come back, the timing should be what the timing was, everyone else's. So it's very strange.
Or if they're going to do that, they could at least sort of say this is part of the game and this is how it works, as opposed to just leaving it for everybody to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. As
now we've.
Des he's retired from the session, and he was fastest in. He's left the session as well, so he's retired and gone.
Well, it is. I mean, being practice, obviously, there are people who just want to be here for the practice session. So quite often you do get people who drop out once you get into the qualifying or the race, because they don't, they're just not interested in those parts of practice. But Dare's just come back again. I mean, the one of the things that's useful about these sessions is that we don't have Parc Fermé switched on. So during qualifying, you can run a bunch of different setups to see how they compare as hot lap setups.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
I'm not sure how many people take advantage of that or realise it's there, and that's why I thought I'd mention it.
I think it's one of those. Yeah, you're right. I think we're so used to Parc Fermé being on that you've done your practice. You think, right, that's the setup I'm going to use, and kind of use a better term, deal with it in a way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, I tend to find by the time I'm actually in a practice session on a track, I'm normally fairly happy that I've found a setup that I want to use, and really it's just a case of making sure that I'm, ultra, comfortable with keeping it sort of consistent with that setup, rather than looking for a new setup during one of our official practices. But a lot of people, obviously, there are a lot of people in the league who their only practice is the official practice sessions. They don't have time in their lives to sit banging out hours and hours and hours of laps.
Yeah, I could definitely vouch for that. I mean, to be fair, I did manage to get some more practice sessions for this race for last night, and I think that was just the pressure. To be honest, I just felt like I had to. And honestly, I couldn't get the setup right. It took me 3 practice sessions plus an extra 1 or 2 myself to actually get a setup that I felt comfortable with, and obviously, luckily, paid dividends in the end. But it took a long time. Just nothing felt good.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. I ended up when I was doing practice last week. A couple of people said to me, "Oh, you must be running a really low downforce setup," and I was like, "Well, I'm not running a low downforce setup particularly." And then last night in the race, I realised that everyone else was running way less downforce than I was, because coming down the Kemmel Straight, I was so far off the pace of the people behind me at times, especially when there was no DRS and you could really compare. I was like, "Oh my God, have I got my setup that badly wrong?" But it was all going so well, and then that safety car just ruined my race last night. So.
I think it came out. I think if you started on the soft tyres last night, it was absolutely perfect timing. But for the people that didn't, I know Scott started on the hards. I think a few people started on the mediums. It really was just, for those people, it was like a lap, 2 laps too early.
And yeah, well, it was a lap too late for me. I had just pitted, and I was only just kind of heading out around a lap when the safety car came out. So by the time I'd caught back up with everyone else who was sort of in front of me and still needed to pit, they'd already pitted and disappeared back off up the Kemmel Straight again. So I was, I went from 4th to 12th in 1 lap. So that was a bit sucky, but never mind. These things happen. It was still fun last night. It was a very enjoyable race, actually. It was very competitive.
It was. Actually, I did wonder, because I was catching up to you before your pit stop. And you're right. Obviously, I was staying out a bit longer than you, and I did wonder what had happened in that time, because I did expect you to re-jump me. I didn't get that much of a jump, and I thought the undercut would have definitely got me.
Sorry, I've just seen. I think it was it Fanning and Tom Brown hitting each other?
We've not seen that. We were on board with Case of Sosa.
Fanning and Tom Brown just had major contact. Can't work out quite where they are. I think they're in Sector 3 at the moment. Yeah, they are. One got punted right off the track by the other, but it was too late to see exactly sort of who was the culprit. But yeah, that was all a bit of a mess. So before this heats up a little bit in qualifying here, shall we have a little chit chat about who's where for Tier 1?
I think it's time. I think we've left. There's a few people are going to be at the edge of the seat saying, "Come on, come on!"
Well,
I'm in the running here. People are waiting to see
this
who's going to be in our
bit,
elite tier now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a bit unusual. It's going to be a bit unusual because what we've taken into account, it's been quite a trawl through sort of people's positions, stats, their likelihood to progress, and trends that people either are on or have been on. So, as I've already said, Guy, he goes up. He's won. So, yeah. He's stormed the championship. He is deservedly heading for Tier 1, and I think he's going to get into Tier 1. He's going to be fighting for the championship in Tier 1, I reckon. I think he's going to be right up there in the top 10 on a regular basis, I think. He's going to be in the limelight.
Yeah, he's definitely got the pace, and a lot of the time the consistency, especially in the first half of the season, he showed that, and yeah, he could definitely be up there. I completely agree with you.
Now, what we've also then been having to look at is there's obviously yourself in second position in the championship, and Alex Ajeric actually jumped up to third in the championship after last night's race, didn't he?
Wow, you do that when you win 3 on the bounce. It's he's had a incredible end to the season.
Yeah, I mean, he's been fast all season over a single lap, but he hasn't been great at finishing, as strongly as he starts. But he has definitely got on top of that now. He is on a streak to end all streaks. He is absolutely nailing it at the moment. And with that kind of progress, there is no way that we can look at Alex and say, right, you don't get promoted. He needs to be promoted. He needs to be in Tier 1. He's running at Tier 1 lap times. When he's raced in Tier 1 as a reserve, he's right up there as well.
Well, he's had pole positions, hasn't he, in Tier 1, and really done well in the races as well with there, and scared them a little bit, I would have to say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've seen over the last couple of races, he's got half a second on the rest of the field. He's stupendously quick.
He is.
He's a Tier 1 driver through and through. If he was a sticker rock and you cut him in half, it would say Tier 1. So Alex is going up to Tier 1.
Brilliant. Congratulations, Alex.
We also have a wild card promotion as well. Now, as I was explaining earlier, in terms of wild cards, those are people who Alex was going to be a wild card, but he's then actually sort of cemented his championship position, so he's not really a wild card anymore. But we're going to take Herman up to Tier 1 as well. Now, unfortunately, he's missed a bunch of races recently, which, as I understand it, is sort of possibly due to the damn cocoa. I think he's had the pleasure of the lurgy, yeah. So he's been out, but if you look at his results throughout the season, he's been stormingly quick.
He has.
And he came back in last night for the first time in 4 weeks and was immediately challenging for pole. The guy is rapid. So,
yeah, it didn't go as well in the race for him, unfortunately, because he was very, very fast, wasn't he?
Yeah, in fact, I think he and Alex actually came together early in the race, and I think Herman, Skylander Kids, he ended up unfortunately heading off into a wall. So, but his pace is undoubtedly very rapid. So he is effectively our wild card. Now, that leaves one more person who we need to promote. Now, logically, that should be you.
Yeah, I see that.
Logically, but we've got sort of two fronts that we need to look at this from. First of all, as a league, we've got logistics which we have to kind of operate. And obviously we've got a structure and we've got people doing certain jobs, and obviously you do a lot of those for us as well. So when we take that into account, does yourself and another driver are very, very closely matched overall. And this other driver has had really good results, and a bit of bad luck recently, but if he'd continued the trend of results that he had been having up until 2 or 3 races ago, he'd probably be where you were in the championship.
I kind of think he would have been, I know what you're talking about, and I think he could have, because of the way, and no disrespect in any way, shape, Guy did win the championship, but he kind of teetered off a little bit. I think if this other driver had continued, he would have been a lot closer and potentially could have challenged for that championship, put Guy under a lot of pressure.
I think he could. So congratulations, Monster. You are being promoted to Tier 1.
Congratulations, Andrew. I know he wanted it. He was desperate to get back up there, and I'm sure he's going to be filled with that.
He's messaged me many times saying that he wanted to head up if he possibly could. So that's that's now definitely happening. He is a second wild card for promotion. So that means we've got Guy, Monster, Alex, and Herman all moving up to Tier 1 from Tier 2.
I think all of them will be, well, to be fair, very competitive in there all season. I think from the off as well. I think I think it's going to throw Tier 1 even wider open next year.
I think it is, and I think we're gonna see a very, very yet again a very close Constructors' Championship in Tiers 1 and Tiers 2. I mean, to be honest with you, the Constructors' Championship has really come alive this particular season. It's been something which people have been far more focused on. There's been a lot more sort of teamwork and cooperation, and it's made for some really amazing races where people are working together to achieve something, that's really cool. I really, really like that about sort of this season and how that's worked out.
It is, yeah, exactly. And I know we've got a lot of things in the pipeline as well for the upcoming seasons, which is going to make it even more exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're looking for ways of making sure that people get more racing and they've got more ways of engaging with the league. So there's all sorts of things happening. And we're also trying to make sure we're putting something a little bit back in as well. So maybe that's something we can talk about sort of once this session's over. But there's some other things that are changing as well. But at least now with just over 3.5 minutes of this session left, everybody who's listening knows exactly who's going where.
They do. Yeah, it's exciting changes. I think, Tier 2, Tier 3, the amount of drivers that it's changing. That, as we mentioned earlier, with one or two going up and down, you kind of have an idea of, I know my pace in this tier against the drivers that are staying. I've done practice sessions against so-and-so who's coming down a tier, or so-and-so that's moving up a tier. I know their pace in relative terms. I think with Tier 2, Tier 3 now, with the amount that are changing, it's going to throw it wide open.
I think the same with Tier 1, to be honest with you.
I think Jay Sarge he's obviously won 2 on the trot. He's going to have his work cut out next season.
He is. I mean, there's people in Tier 1 who, if they'd found a bit more consistency, would have been right there with them. I think that fight at the top could have been a lot tighter if a couple of people had found their feet and their pace a little bit earlier in the season than they did. And I think that's happened to a lot of people. Mindful Wasp's just gone fastest on a 1:44.6.
He had popped it into third and then he's gone quicker again on his second lap on those soft tyres.
Well, that's not going to be good for them.
It's going to hurt. That might hurt the race a little bit, but it's only been 25%. I don't think the difference is going to be huge, as actually CBG Samble's just gone purple in the middle sector.
So, just a quick honourable mention to CBG Samble whilst we're talking. He was almost in line to get a seat, but I sort of explained to him he was one of 2 people that could have been coming in for next season, and he's unfortunately just missed out. But don't worry, mate, you are clearly on our radar. You will be in line to get a hop up at some point, because we will inevitably need to replace some people at some point. So and that's something which is worthwhile saying to all of our reserves. we do need replacement drivers every so often through the season. Every race we have 2 to 3 people missing in each tier, apart from maybe the first and last races of the season, which are the most popular ones.
Yeah, they are.
There's plenty of opportunity to drive in MRC as a reserve.
There is, and I can vouch and say, look, we've had it in Tier 3 this season, just for other reasons drivers have left and can't race, and I know for tomorrow we've actually got 2 vacant seats already that have been filled for the reserve drivers that I think they're coming in next season anyway, so that's great news to see. They'll get the first taste of action as well, and they've reserved once or twice, and that's exactly puts your words into practice.
Absolutely. Apologies if you're hearing a weird background noise on my mic. My staffy has a very large tongue and very large feet, and he's using one to clean the other. He's making a very loud slurping noise in the corner of the room. It's not anything dodgy, honestly, I swear.
Actually can't hear that, so you got away with that one. A little bit. You would have completely got away with it.
I don't know, it's amazing what you can hear when you watch it back on the telly. It's got to be said. So anyway, there we go. We've defined all of our drivers. So there's a lot of people who haven't set lap times here.
There is. I was actually looking down the order. We're on board with Roundy. He hasn't set the lap time. Carl's out of the session. Backmizo, no, he left the session and come back in, so his time might be out of sync a little bit. Dare 1986, he retired early on. Spike is just retired. Single track didn't bother setting a lap time. Don't know why.
Oh, he's a lazy tit.
I'm surprised with Gaming Demi-Dad. I know Ryan's just is there just to help out. Speaking of Demi, well, I opened my mouth again, didn't I? Gaming Demi-Dad at 44.2 storms to the top of the timesheet.
Well, what's quite fascinating is we've got a bunch of people here who are starting to show more confidence and pace than they did in their initial sessions with us. So, Gaming Demi-Dad, Mindful Wasp, Bergen we've already recognised isn't Tier 4 pace and moved him to Tier 3. Yeah. So we've got some people here who definitely, they've started to show a great deal more potential than we initially realised that they had. So, and that's the sort of learning process that, we've been talking about going through.
Exactly, yeah. Right.
So, Backmizo is showing us an outlap right now.
Yeah, I think Case Associate, he left the session and came back in as well, so their timer is going to be slightly out, which is why they're able to do a lap time now.
Well, Backmizo's on a lap right now. He's actually just come round T1 and he's heading into Eau Rouge right now.
Takes a wide line. Oh, that looked like it drifted through the bottom of that. Done that myself. That is a scary moment when you're not fully in control down the bottom of Eau Rouge there up to Radion. That's you don't know if it's going to kick on you and slide or it's going to hold, and that is quite a worrying moment down there. But he's managed to hold it.
Yeah, the damn game gave me a 3-second penalty for the car losing traction and sliding outside limits last night.
Wow. It's done that a few times. I think there's a few drivers have said that before. It's a strange one, isn't it? I love how he gives you a penalty when you're not actually in control of the car. You are a passenger. Yeah,
I was penalty free, so it actually cost me a couple of positions at the end of the race as well. So.
Oh, wow. Oh, we've seen some beautiful ones this season, haven't we? Of the new updates and the new game just giving penalties for things you just think, how is that even possible? Someone can be on the curb, half a car on the white line, and it'll give you a track limits warning. Or you could go completely wide. We see people round Spa, for example, on the outside of P1, do not get any kind of penalty at all, and it will let you go off. And you just think, how is that? How can you do that?
Yeah, I mean, it supposedly calculates the potential lap gain that you can have by leaving at one point of the track and coming back on at another. But I'm not sure it works, to be honest with you.
I'm not sure. Oh,
Backmizo goes third.
Yeah, I was on board with that. He was actually behind. I don't know how that works because I don't know because Ryan wasn't in control of his car. He crossed the line. I think Ryan was finishing his lap, and Backmizo caught him up rather quickly. And I mean, there's nothing against Ryan. We know how good a driver he is, and the promotion for that was right there. And it almost looked like he was hampered, but I think Backmizo had such a good run and got the slipstream through Blanchimont that Ryan's still on a flying lap and trying to put the best lap time, and then nothing he could do really with that.
No, I don't know. I'm not sure whether that was an autopilot glitch possibly there, to be honest with you, but it was
Possibly, yeah.
yeah. And I think Backmizo's having a few lag issues at the moment. He's a little bit jumpy on track there.
Yeah, he is a little bit, and he's still got the time. Obviously, he left the session a little bit longer than everyone else, so he's not showing that he's crossed the finish line yet. So I don't think that'll be far away. The timer stopped on the 1 second as normal. So maybe by the time he finishes this lap, we'll see. Yeah, I think he is only about a lap or so down, so he's not far behind.
Yeah, I mean, it depends whether he sort of continues or comes in at the end of this lap, because I'm willing to bet he's probably still in control of that car by the looks of it, because it's not taking the sorts of lines that the AI would, so it's hopefully all going to resolve itself within about 30 seconds or so by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Though it has sent a bunch of other cars to the track as well, who are the people who I'm guessing aren't in the session.
Yeah, we'll have a look down, see who's just come out. Tom Brown is out. Now this is the problem with the glitch. I think we saw this at Hungary, didn't we, last week for Tier 3. The drivers are continuing around after a glitch. People had, I can't remember who it was now, had rejoined after they got kicked from the session, came back in. Yeah, Backmizo was still on a lap. He's still able to go around, so hopefully we won't be too far away. But it did actually take tyre wear out of the laps, and we saw a lot of the drivers picking after on the second lap.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that was, you could possibly say about that was that it seemed to affect everybody equally, so it wasn't the end of the world. Yeah. I don't think there was anybody who was on a soft tyre in Hungary who was affected by that glitch who wasn't affected by that glitch, I should say. So I think everybody had the same negative effect, but I think it worked itself out by the end of the race anyway.
Yeah, I think it did. Yeah, we saw a big thriller as well, didn't we? It was there was action up and down the field, and I kind of did my best Gav impersonation and went a little bit higher pitch than I normally go, and didn't realise until afterwards when someone had commented in Discord. I did a little bit. And that just bodes for tomorrow night, I think.
It sounded like your spuds had retracted into your pelvis. Anyway,
exactly.
Yeah. So well, what should we talk about whilst they're driving round and round in circles?
Well, that's the thing. I think we've covered quite a lot tonight. It's it's exciting news for next season. I'm looking forward to the variety of drivers, and it's such a big change that we've got. Of course, we've got some of the new regulations coming in, the pit assists, especially for the entry.
Backmizo's car has taken to the pits. That could end the session.
Could do. Hopefully, we'll see when he gets wheeled into the garage.
I mean, I think the regulation changes are something else new to talk about as well. But obviously, there we go. It's fixed itself.
It has.
I mean, those reg changes are going to mix things up in their own right as well, because it's going to be a leveler. In tiers 1 and 2 in particular, there are people who are very pacey but are slightly more assist reliant. But from the research that we did a couple of weeks back, it was pretty apparent that there was a lot of people who were able to get rid of some of the assists which they used. And I think that can only be a good thing in kind of bringing a bit more equilibrium to, maybe people that are more assist reliant and quick, or people who are maybe a little less consistent due to the fact they're less reliant on those assists. So I think you'll find that actually that will have an even greater effect on the leveling of the field. And I think that, Tier 1 and Tier 2 are going to be, I think they're going to be even more competitive than we expect.
Yeah,
I think put me in the bloody car again. It's put me in the car again.
This has gone well tonight.
Yeah,
and a few connection issues, and it's trying to get you to drive again, and
I'm not really sure. I suppose I'm going to have to wait for it to start and then retire it.
I don't think there's a formation lap actually tonight either, so we're going to head straight in. Is there anybody behind you on track, just out of curiosity, on the grid?
That's a good question. I think there might be, I don't think I'm at the back. I guess if I just leave it sat here, it'll get disqualified. Oh, no, I am at the back. If I leave it, it'll disqualify, won't it?
It's had a really good one. We've got the lights out straight away, and away we go. Still said waiting for players, and away we go. Yeah, you're at the back there, so you're okay. Demidad gets a good start into turn one. We've got the other Mercedes to back Mizo, pushing through. Mindful Wasp goes wide, 3 or 4 abreast. Fanning's also taken through a Mindful Wasp. It's Mercedes and Red Bull line astern. Single track gets disqualified from the session as a Red Bull's gone backwards. That's Mindful Wasp, the top of Radion. He's gone backwards into the wall. Tom Brown and Fanning having a battle. There's big contact between the two. Forced into a wall. Tom Brown squeezing Fanning a little bit hard there, and now Red Car's having a look, and he gets tapped and hits a wall as well. Oh, there's quite a lot of contact going on here, and it's all between, funny enough, the Tier 3 drivers. It is practice, folks, so we're not going to take anything from it. We're not going to get overexcited about it. It happens, it is practice, and it was just a little bit get an eye in for tomorrow's big championship showdown.
So at the moment we've got 2 brand new people scampering away at the front there.
We have, yes, and it's the 2 Mercedes, 1 and 2, as Tom Brown, wow, gets that really sideways through turn 13 in Campus. Well held, very well held. Fanning couldn't capitalise on that, and he's got Bergen all over the back of him as well.
Got a group of 5 people really close together there, haven't we?
Yeah, this could, I think that's Gibbon goes very, very wide. But he's also got Ocean Tame right on the back as well. Right through Blanchemont. Is he going to have a look into the bus stop? He is trying to pull the inside and backs out. He's not. He's going very late on the brakes. Wow, Gibbon saw him come and gave him some very wide amount of room there.
Did you see that? I saw Ocean Tame taking the qualifying line there, where you stay out wide and cut back in.
He did take that line, and I think Bergen's gone round the first corner he has. He's gone wide into La Source and gone round, and he had to spin it round. That's going to really hurt his tyres through Radion. I'm going to cut away because I daren't look. It's going to be very scary for him through there. As Red Car's pitted, Casa Souza and Paulo Costa also pitted.
We've got Dare, Stuvine and Roundy all on top of each other coming down the Kemmel Straight right now as well. Dare's taken 10 places from the start.
Yes, he's had a fantastic opening lap. As Fanning's gone round as well. He's gone round in Lacombe and lost places hand over fist as well. So Dare now up 11 places.
What I can't tell from this is whether we've got some AIs sort of cruising around further back as well. But I don't think we have many if that's the case. But I can see we've got some people who've made a lot of places early on. So Roundy, Carl, Spikey, they've all shot up from where they started. And then I think
we've seen a few people go around. We saw a Red Car go around. Mindful Wasp went backwards into Radion on the first lap. So I think there's a few spins in there as well. We saw Fanning spin round. He's and Bergen. I think Purgemeister's had a bit of a moment there, and as Fanning's back up to 11th.
Yeah, I mean, I can't emphasise enough for tomorrow's racing that keeping it clean through the first corner at this track is where you will either destroy a race or make it.
Yeah, it's not just turn 1. It's through Eau Rouge. It's through Radion down to Lacombe. It's all the way down there.
But it's such an extreme funnel point here, isn't it? At Spa, that corner is so tight on the entry and the exit. There's just not enough space for people to be. I mean, even 2 abreast is difficult. So if you've got someone else trying to stick their nose in there, it's just going to go horribly, horribly wrong.
It is. We've got Spikey and Carl fighting away. Anyway, I think, to be fair, we saw Tier 1, their opening lap was super clean through there as well. Carl got a heck of a run through on Spikey through Rouge Radion. He's got the DRS. That should be nice and easy move for Carl, which it is. And there's a Red Bull of Fanning. He's coming strong as well through there. As the Alpha Tauri goes very, very deep, trying to be late on the brakes. Can't make it. Fanning gets through as well. Lose 2 places in the space of a straight. Oh, Skip goes very wide, and that's allowed Fanning. He doesn't miss any opportunities, does he? Just Fanning.
He doesn't, does he? And it's interesting. There's some really close battles amongst these guys. Actually, I'm just watching Purge Mister is having a a huge moment. Span one way and then span the other. Oh, and also a reset to track, which just as a reminder, that is not allowed.
Yeah, I'm surprised it actually must be missed in the settings that we've set. I've seen it though, even though it's been set to off, people could still do it sometimes, but not sure how that works.
I don't know either, but yeah, just for note, if you're a new member of MRC, reset to track is one of our fundamental major no-nos, and it's an instant disqualification from a league race.
It is, yeah, very much so. That's instant disqualification and heavy penalty points on your license as well, which can lead to qualifying bans, race bans, and last thing we ever want is to say to somebody, sorry, you can't take part.
Yeah. I mean, it's happened before. And to be fair, we always give the same punishment, which is heavy.
It is. Oh, there's a bit of contact. Fanning and Stuvine through La Sauce. Fanning's definitely on a charge now. It's had that moment and that spin.
Two Mercs are fighting at the front.
They are. We've just cut to them now as Purgemeister's. He's reset from this. He's retired from the session, as I said. I think Backmazer will have had the DRS, and that's allowed him to get back.
Yeah, he had a pretty easy pass on Gaming Demidad into the end of the Kemmel Straight there. He was passed before the corner, so it was not a complicated one.
Yeah. We've got Mark Dennis, and he's asking Martin, when do teams get announced?
Well, now that we know who's going where, we can start getting that planned in a bit more accurately. But we're hoping to do it in a bit more of an interactive way this time. But it's proven complicated. So basically, myself and Gav Night Shadow are looking at trying to do it as some form of stream. Hang on.
Walter's awake. Sorry about that, folks. Our MRC mascot's shouting at the boss man. He'll be back with us shortly and give us a rundown of how we're going to develop the teams and get the big announcements that I know everyone's waiting for, which myself included. Looking forward to that.
That was my stomach rumbling. It wasn't anything to do with the dog. Yeah, of course.
Was it?
No, of course it wasn't. Yeah, no, he was just getting very mad about something. I don't know what it was. What were we saying? Yeah, so basically myself and Gav are looking at trying to create some form of live stream where we can do a sort of a more exciting way of announcing them than just drawing them out of a hat sort of on Discord. But it's complex, and there's some learning and some trialing of sort of techniques and software to be used. So I'm not making any promises. It might end up just being on Discord at the end of the day, but we're doing our very best with it. But we're hoping to do that probably next week. It's certainly not going to happen this week or over the weekend this week. So it's going to be during that week off.
Looking forward to it. There we go, folks. That answers your question. Looking forward to that one. And I know there'll be a lot of people. I know there's a few people who are hoping to change and switch allegiances, and we'll see how that plays out.
And also, just to kind of answer a question that I've been asked several times, and it's not like it's secretive knowledge. It's something which we don't make a secret of. But the way that the system works in terms of people being attributed to teams, basically, we try to do it fairly. So if you win your tier, you get free choice. You're the top dog. You are literally the first person who gets to actually choose a team. So people like J Sarge, they will immediately be able to say, right, I want this team, and they will get it. Behind those people, we do allow our admin team as the only payment they get for all the bloody hours they put into the league.
Wait, you don't get paid for this?
There's a problem with the bank account and it got lost in the post. So basically our league admins get to nominate 3 teams, and we try to give them one of the 3 teams that they nominate. So they don't necessarily get what they want, but we try to give them one of those 3, so that those people get to choose a team effectively as well. we will offer runners-up a chance to nominate their teams as well. So sort of runners-up within each tier will get some influence, as just watched Tom Brown unfortunately go around at the top of the hill there.
Oh, he has, yeah. I just clicked on to back Mizo. He went at the top of Radion, coming out of the pits. And then, yeah, Tom Brown's gone round as well now.
So in terms of people that get to choose, that's it. So it's winners, runners-up, admins. They all get an influence over what teams they get. Everybody else is at random. And you know, that's the fairest system that we can come up with. And I'm sure people can't resent the admins that we've got who put in hours and hours and hours every week to put this thing together for 4 tiers worth of drivers. I'm sure no one would resent them for having some kind of reward, pat on the back for their contributions. So, you know, that's the system. So everyone else is random. So that's how it works.
Yeah, I think it is a good system in how it works, and you know, like I say, we're not getting paid for this, which is news. I need to talk with my manager, I think, about this.
Well, obviously, I'm getting paid. Obviously,
of course.
The royalties alone. It's, you know,
without doubt.
I'm doing this actually from my golden jacuzzi right now. So it's I'm smoking a huge cigar. Walter's smoking a huge cigar. Yeah. Walter's my dog, by the way, just in case I think there's anything funny going on.
His MRC mascot is. He's got his own cigar, and
I think there's quite a lot of dogs on show in this league. To be honest with you,
there has been a few, yeah.
I think Gav's got quite a nice pooch that I've seen on his socials.
Can't say I've seen, to be honest.
Yeah, he has. Back on track again. So Spikey is up 17 places from where he started.
Yeah, well, good. I was looking at the tyres at the moment, just with the pit stop fares for the soft tyre winners coming in about now, and I think the medium tyres are coming in as well. Carl and Spikey, the only two that haven't pitted yet. Everyone else has pitted and is on the second phase of their race.
Yeah, we've ended up quite spread out, haven't we, funnily enough, on such a short race.
There's a few. There's Bergen's on the back. He's within a second. Dare's on the back of Carl as well, but on a lot fresher tyres. So that is quite understandable. And then Bergen, they've both stopped with the Tom Brown, had that spin at the top of Lecombe. So they're in a proper battle. Tom does have a penalty of 3 seconds, though, to add to his time. So Bergen, if he can just afford to stay there, and he will gain that place at the end.
Mindful Wasp has just gone round on a set of cold mediums, unfortunately. Very, very easily done.
It is, yeah. It's not nice when you first come out the pits and the tyres are that cold, and yeah, it's very tricky. As Carl's entered the pits and so is Spikey, they've got in together. Carl's going to be on the soft tyres, so he's going to be very quick at the end. Spikey started on those red walls, he's on to the mediums. So, hot tip, when you switch to a harder tyre compound, you're trying to get them warmed up a bit, reduce your on-throttle differential. It's right.
just about the easiest thing you can do to reduce your likelihood of spinning on cold tyres. And then wind that differential back to your normal position again after a couple of laps.
Well, there you go, I didn't know that. Well, there we go, folks, there's a top tip for the day. I'm so glad. I bet you're glad you tuned in. We've found out who's in which tier. We found out how the teams are decided and picked at random, and also how to warm up your cold tyres.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is actually as a little segue to the fact that we have now got all 5, theoretically, of our brand new driver coaches lined up. Which is a new thing which some people have probably spotted us recruiting for through our through the Discord admins and vacancies area. We are introducing a group of driver coaches who are going to be from our top 2 tiers, majority of whom are tier 1, and we're talking about some names that were pretty well known to anyone who's watching those races, and these people will be able to support some of our drivers in the lower tiers who need or want a little bit of additional input on how to approach their racing, technique, car setups, whatever they need sort of support and help with, those driver coaches are going to be there to assist. And it's going to be, each of those coaches, I think initially will probably have a couple of people that they'll work hand in hand with to support. And the idea is that if you're somebody who really, really feels that you'd like to get a little bit more out of your racing by developing your skills, ability, and understanding of how to be competitive. Maybe you're somebody who sort of tends to sit towards the back and would like to just be a little bit more challenging of the people in front of you. Those coaches will be there to help you develop, and they will work hand in hand with you. And it's not they're not going to be available to everybody. It's going to be a select few who volunteer or who we nominate. And that's going to be starting next season.
Yeah, looking forward to that. That's it's going to be interesting to see, and of course that'll be a private conversation, private coaching between the two, but between the coach and the coachee. But it'd be nice to see who's, obviously we're not going to publish so publicly who's getting coaching, but it'd be nice to see how they come on through the season, through the tier 1, tier 2 drivers, giving them that little heads up and giving them that little bit more knowledge as well, and sharing their expertise and knowledge and experiences.
Well, yeah, I mean, can you imagine? Just to name one of our coaches who are coming on board, Jay Sarge is going to be a coach. So you could be a new driver in tier 4 who's very inexperienced in the game, and you could work hand in hand with our top tier, most competitive driver, double back-to-back champion, to help develop your skills. And I think that's pretty cool.
It is, isn't it? That is very cool. Imagine that, you just come in going, yeah, can I have anyone there to give me a little bit of a hand? And your 2-time champion, back-to-back champion, steps, yeah, I'll do it. And is there to coach you through your start of your MRC career as well. That is really cool.
And those 5 people will also be kind of helping out within, obviously most people have seen we've got like a hints and tips area within the Discord as well, and those 5 driver coaches will be the first people to jump in there with advice when anyone asks for it as well.
Fanning had a heck of a dive there on Tom Brown and paid the price for that. You can't actually do that on there. Tom rightly took the corner as he would and did not expect Fanning at all to be there on his inside. But that's a practice lunge, that one. That was a practice score, that one.
Yeah, sensing a bit of frustration there. I think he's a little bit out of place from where he ought to be, probably on track.
Yeah, he's down 6 places from his start. But Dare is up there. Dare 1986. He's up 15 places now, up to second. He's actually a bit lonely now. He's 3.7 behind Gaming Demi Dad and 6 ahead of Bergan.
Yeah, I mean the top 4 places are all brand new joiners to the league.
Yeah,
which speaks great things about the future, doesn't it?
And I'm sure you've mentioned already that they're all in tier 3 next season.
Yeah.
So that's going to really be competitive there, isn't it? I think people like Ryan and Fanning looking at that, they'll see those guys ahead and thinking, oh, thank goodness I'm going. Thank goodness I've been chosen to move up. I can't cope with that. I know Ryan's feeling under the weather. He's just trying to, he's doing it to just get his eye in, as we've mentioned before. It's still a good race for him. He's still up in 5th and running strong.
Yeah, it was. It all got a bit messy part way through, but he seems to have turned it back around and actually elevated himself from his start position now. So it looks like it's. I mean, at the end of the day, I think Ryan does approach these races as practice.
He does. I know he spends a lot of time in practicing as well. He goes into a lot of the lobbies with different drivers and helps out, and he's doing a great job, to be fair. And you can see how much he's come on as well this season. I think one of probably the whole league's biggest improvers, I would say. Yeah.
I mean, he's from the start of the season to the finish of the season, he's literally just elevated himself almost every race by race. He's got stronger and stronger and stronger. Like anybody has a bit of bad luck here and then, but I think his general sort of trend is pretty staggeringly strong, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, can't disagree with that one. We're going to cut to the front as Gaming Demidad comes through Blanchimont for the final time as he breaks into the bus stop. He had a little battle with his teammate early on, but Bakmizo had that spin, unfortunately, at the top of Radion, and that's allowed the other Mercedes, his teammate, to get the victory this evening. The Dare up 15 places. He takes second. Bergan will cross the line with a bit of a flourish, with a bit of a tail slide, and he'll finish in third.
Spikey is being pushed very hard by Stuvine down towards the bus stop.
Yep,
I think there's going to be a last-minute dive. I think there's going to be a
watch. He's gone through Blanchimont, nearly side by side. Stuvine can't get through. He's going to have a look on the inside under braking. He's just not close enough. Oh, wow. Both brake late. Stuvine a little bit too late on that one. Luckily, no incidences there as Mindful Wasp has had a battle with Gibbon. There's a little bit of contact out of the bus stop. Drag race to the line. Gibbon had the DRS and was able to just get that place for Mindful Wasp. Chelsea's next across the line. And then 10 seconds back is at Soze, and then CBG Sambal. Had a few spins, was a bit unlucky with his race. He's still in the middle sector at the moment. But we will wait for the AlphaTauri to come round.
So yeah, that's it's at the end of the day, it's a practice session. The race doesn't mean anything, but it's interesting to see sort of comparative pace, and that's obviously what we look at. But there's we never like to put too much emphasis onto the race element of a practice session because that isn't what it should be about.
No, and I think the drivers use it just to be that little bit of wheel-to-wheel racing and where you can overtake, where you can't overtake. And, we've seen that tonight. There's a few drivers made a few questionable overtakes, and then sometimes they pushed a little bit too hard and lost the rear end and had a few spins. So it's good knowledge to be doing that ready for, especially the Tier 3 drivers, ready for tomorrow night. And like we've mentioned, the title showdown, a lot of places there to be gained in the championship as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's still plenty to play for. I mean, obviously those top three guys are all going up, so that sort of takes one element out of it, I suppose. But at the end of the day, there's still some prestige to be fought for, isn't there? There's
definitely bragging rights there. I know all three of them will be wanting to claim that top spot and to say, no, I'm sorry, but I was the champion.
So I can see some good sporting behaviour on the Discord at the moment. So Gibbon is just thanking Mindful Wasp for a last lap battle that they enjoyed, which we saw the very tail end of as well.
We did, yeah. I think that's the thing. A few people did go on different strategies as well there, and that really played in. And I think that's going to be very, very interesting tomorrow to see how those drivers, especially if they qualify just outside the top 10 to start on a harder tyre, can make the progress through the race. I think that's going to be it's going to be an interesting watch. It's going to be very exciting. I'll try to keep my voice relatively calm, but I can't promise anything at all tomorrow. It's championship and a lot of places on the line. It's going to be very fascinating.
Well, I'll be making a reappearance tomorrow night as well, all things being equal. So it's everyone's going to be wondering whether I'm becoming a full-time commentator at this rate.
You will, yes.
I'm not. I'm definitely not.
I've got to say, I think you do more than your fair share of helping the league and making the league win as well as we do. And full credit to you for everything that you do for us.
Well, it's thanks to that vampire that bit me. I don't actually have to sleep anymore. So all I do is I just work on the league 24 hours a day. Apart from when I go out and drink blood, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you got to have nutrition somewhere. Healthy vitamins and the iron that it contains.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that note,
yes, thank you very much for joining us. I know we've not necessarily followed the action, but it has been a good practice session. We've found out quite a bit about our new drivers, and they can take all of that knowledge into Season 6, and the Tier 3 drivers get their eye in, ready for the showdown that is the Tier 3 finale championship battle tomorrow night. So there'll be myself and Morgan. It'll be the Teesside twosome for one last time this season, ready to set it off with a bang. And we'll be here from 7:30 tomorrow night, so please don't miss it. Following that, of course, Martin, you'll be there with Gav for the Tier 4 initial, what do you call it, the invitational event. Looking forward to that one. Actually, that's going to be very good. Pre-season race, yeah, that's going to be fantastic to see a lot of the guys that are in tonight on track as well, battling with a bit more competitive environment as well.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how that starts playing out. It's got to be said.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. So normally it's a Monday night that has the double header, but now, especially this evening, and from then on, tomorrow evening, and then on, we'll have a double header tomorrow evening. Please don't miss it. Join us from 7:30 right here, and we will see you then.
Thanks, everyone.